Platinum the last of the real water cooler talk shows on YouTube. The Texas Longhorns miss the 12-team playoff for the first time in the last 2 years. Texas will not be in the playoffs. We will be bowling against Michigan, and it's disappointing. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. Kind of say our piece about Texas being left out of the field because I understand the committee's point of view on leaving us out. But there's some things I want to get off my chest though, because I do believe Texas is obviously one of the best teams in the country, and would be, reflected if Texas was in the playoff. I think the national championship odds would reflect Texas being, a real contender compared to some of these teams in there. But we'll get to that. And then the portal's heating up, and coaching turnovers happening. Chad Scott fired, and we're trying to, get some intel on who we're going to target in the portal, because that's really what's most important about building for 2026. Load up Arch with a bunch of weapons, and that's the year. Next year's the year. So before we get into it, please give us some love. Give us a like and a subscription, and comment. Just comment who you think we should target in the portal, and your thoughts on Texas missing the playoff. We really love the engagement, and we'll be sure to respond to you. But yeah, thank y'all in advance for that. And Kyle. All right, so we talked a little bit before Selection Sunday, and we were kind of like, man, it's not happening. You were on this from the beginning. You said if we lose to Georgia, even if we beat A&M, we're not getting in. You were right. But Saturday, the day before, there's so many teams got blown out. Like Georgia blew out Bama, BYU got blown out. You started to think, well, two teams are going to get in there, and Texas's resume is really good. Maybe we'll get lucky, but that never even happened. We weren't even in the conversation. So what were your thoughts, Kyle, on just the whole playoff in general?
It's despicable that we weren't even in the first two teams out. Notre Dame lost to A&M, who we beat, and all around the whole Miami and Notre Dame going back and forth was just a little bit of some. It was a little bit of semantics to me. I think at the end of this, we all know the reason Notre Dame was left out is because they weren't a part of a conference, and this is America trying to tell them to join a conference. You should not, though, have kept them in the first ones out. I think they should have dropped a lot farther, maybe down to 14 or 15. You really didn't see much movement like how you'd seen during the regular season when there were buys and stuff like that, or just teams were off and not playing a game. You saw them naturally go down, but anytime Notre Dame was not playing or on a bye, or even this case not playing Championship Sunday, they stayed exactly where they were. They didn't move up or down, and I think that's some baloney right there. And all around, the two G5 schools of Tulane and whoever that it's in James Madison, it's pathetic. It's not good. Those two teams, whoever they're playing, are gonna get buys. I think James Madison is playing who are
Oregon.
they? Oregon. So Oregon's gonna have an easy win. Oregon probably deserves it. Dan Lanning and those guys are a very good team who could probably win the national championship, but still, Jamie's going to get clobbered. Tulane's going to play. I think they got A&M, right? Or no, they got someone else. Who does Tulane
They're
got?
playing Ole Miss again, who already beat them by like 40 earlier this year.
Exactly. It's a rematch of what's going to happen. And even though you're going to say Lane Kiffin's not the coach and it's a whole different, they're going to get clobbered. So it's going to be the new rules and the ever evolving of this committee and the bringing of the new people. I think the rule is going to get thrown out after this year. I think it should have been thrown out after what Boise State did. But now, hey, third time's the charm. Literally three G5 teams have attempted the playoffs. They've gotten in. They were either one loss or undefeated, or two losses, and they all got waxed. So there you go. You're gonna have three examples, three trials and errors, and hopefully next year this G5 nonsense is gone. The ACC, I really thought Duke winning would help us out a lot more than we thought, but they still, the ACC still snuck a team in here. I don't really think there's really any team. I don't think anyone from the ACC has any business even being in the national championship this year, but Texas with a 9-3 doesn't get the nod. The committee said for a long time that a three-loss team wouldn't make the playoffs, but sure enough, who is the first three-loss team to make the playoffs? It's Alabama. Alabama is their trendsetter. Alabama's their gauge, and you know I hope that they go beat OU. I really do. I'd love to see OU and A&M have first round exits at home. That'd be funny. It'd really make my holiday. Santa, I've been such a good boy. Please, that's on my Christmas list. But at the same time, you want to see the best of college football because this year a lot of good teams are around. Um, and it's just a shame. Texas probably wouldn't have won this year, but I think it'd be a much better game to watch Texas versus Oregon or Texas versus Ole Miss than what we're getting right now with JMU and Tulane. But hey, you live, you learn. You got to give the little guys a chance, and when the little guys screw it up, then you just let the big dogs play at that point. But we're just waiting for the Big Ten, the SEC, to separate from the NCAA, and we make our super conference and super league basically.
Yeah, it seems like it's heading that way, especially with Notre Dame basically having a temper tantrum and shopping different conferences now. It seems like they want to go to the Big Ten or the SEC because they're mad at the ACC for propping up Miami over Notre Dame, which is stupid because Miami beat them and Miami's a full ACC member. They're supposed to just like not back up their team. And yeah, I agree, Kyle. I thought Duke winning the ACC was kind of like, God, that conference is terrible, and Miami couldn't even make it to that game. I know it was a tiebreaker situation that kept them out, but they weren't in the game against all those weird, ACC schools that aren't great at football. So I do think Miami's a dangerous team. I think they'll give A&M some problems in round one. They definitely have NFL players, and they're good in the trenches. So I don't hate Miami going in there. I do think they have upside to win a couple games in the playoff if they play at their best, if Carson Beck's not turning the ball over, and things like that. But I agree with you. I don't think Texas was good enough to win the national championship this year. It's pretty obvious. But what Texas, I feel like the playoffs about getting the best teams in, or that's what it should be. Not just getting your inclusivity participants and getting every check box check to get the Sun Belt in there. Because ratings wise, the primetime game of the CFP round one, and that was the big thing is awesome home games, playoff games. It's going to be Oregon hosting James Madison, and that's going up against NFL playoff football, I believe. No one, and I hate the NFL. I'm not an NFL guy. I myself would rather watch NFL playoffs over JMU Oregon, and like the ratings are going to tank because you have two G5 teams just basically just taking up space in there, taking out two of the first of the four big games in round one. So yeah, I agree, Kyle. That rule is going to go. I do think Texas could have made some noise in the playoff. I agree we wouldn't have won it all, but I do think we'd probably be like fifth highest odds to win it all if we were in there. I think we'd be right there next to Texas Tech. Definitely higher odds than Oklahoma. Probably higher odds than Ole Miss. Definitely higher odds than A&M. So I think it's unfortunate, but I agree. Overall, it wouldn't have mattered. I think Georgia, Indiana, and Ohio State are playing at a different level, and I think Oregon too can get hot and can win. They have the lighter bracket on Oregon's side, so I think Oregon will have a chance to make a run as well. But yeah, I'm curious. I hope OU gets smoked by Alabama, but Alabama looks terrible, and I understand the argument of putting him in because they're being penalized for losing a conference championship game that they didn't have to play in. I get the idea of putting them in, but just like optics wise, Bama's looked really bad over the last couple weeks, and I'm worried that OU's going to beat them because I think both those teams are fraudulent, and OU's at home. But either way, OU's going to get smoked at some point when they play a good team. But I think that Miami A&M game will be a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, it sucks, man. But like we keep on saying, um, this gives Texas an opportunity to attack the portal and really focus on 2026. Whereas last year, you're like your hands are kind of tied behind your back because you're dealing with playoff football and roster management at the same time. It's not super easy, but yeah, Texas just got unlucky this year. We had the hardest schedule in the country, went 9-3, and came up just short. But hopefully, this will be fuel for 2026.
To wrap this up, basically, I am put right now, here's what you got to think about this. With the JMU Oregon, I think Oregon's opened up at like a 17.5 point favorite. Tulane is a 21.5 point underdog to Ole Miss, and that's even without a Lane Kiffin coach. When you have spreads that are above 15 points or stuff like that, every bettor already knows don't watch that game. You're right about one thing. The viewership is going to be tough. It's a playoff, and it's the first round of playoffs that competes with wild card weekend of the NFL, So you're right. It is still that playoff atmosphere, but you're going to have these devoted fan bases watching the NFL, and plus, everyone loves a good little wild card time because that's time to make a little money. If you have two games where you're openly telling bettors, don't even touch this. Vegas and the typical rules of sports betting is anything above 10 to 12, even 15 points. You do not touch this. It's not worth it to you. It's just too out of range. You're going to do those quick pops to get some cash, or you're going to live bet this thing. You're right saying two games are not even worth watching. I don't even think SMU, when they had to go up to Penn State, was ranked, had this much of a deficit in them. Even Boise last year didn't even have that. But the fact is, you have two of them this year. They're gonna probably get destroyed. How Texas A&M is -7 right now against Miami is fraudulent. I'm gonna say here's your alt line, guys. Not a guarantee because you can't say that on the media, but I would do Miami -7 because it's gonna be a slaughter. It's gonna be in multiple points, and Kyle Field is going to empty out at the end of halftime. Okay, that's just how it's going to be. Oklahoma, though, you're right, Matt. There is some room to be scared that Oklahoma could make a decent run at it because if you're looking at the numbers, something that me and you have gone across this entire season, Texas has a winning record against OU. Sure enough, it paid off for us this year. We have a winning record against A&M. It paid off for us this year. Vanderbilt, we beat them last year. We have their number. Even if Diego has this game circled and everything, guess what? We beat Diego and Vanderbilt. So there is a little bit of me that Venables has DeBoer's number, and it probably might be that case. And Alabama is not playing hot football. It's just this. You're right about getting the hot teams and the best teams. Alabama is not a hot team. They're probably a good team with record and just player wise, but they're not playing hot right now. And this is a real good time to see the bounce back of Kalen DeBoer's culture. I wouldn't be surprised if that this game goes a certain way and he loses three in a row two times in the same year to Oklahoma, being a time to get him knocked out of the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if we now had that conversation of DeBoer is in a hot seat because
Sure.
now you're going to, for Alabama's extremely high standards that Saban left, you're looking now at the next potential James Franklin meme in Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. Even though he's winning all these games and taking them to the conference championship, beats Georgia in regular season, and we're in the playoffs now, it's still not what Alabama's wanting. And for a very spoiled fan base like Alabama, rightfully they are spoiled because of the success they've had recently. This is a chance for them to start becoming that program that can be toxic to its administration. And so don't be surprised if Caleb DeBoer brings out the entire playbook and really opens it up this upcoming week, because I wouldn't be surprised if someone somewhere said, "Hey, Caleb, you're coaching for your job this week. Just gonna put that in your ear and let you sit with that." Because I'll tell you now, it wouldn't be past one of those obnoxious Roll Tide fans to say that to their coach. But this Texas needs to reload. This is our chance to do it. You're bringing up a great point. I think this is a good segue into the next topic, which is portal activities going up. We have an extensive list of guys who hit the portal. A lot of guys this year who actually are leaving us just because they're out of eligibility. They're done. These were our seniors. We graduated them, and we have a couple guys heading for the NFL. Love Ant Hill, but he's gone. He's declared, and it's his time to go. And I understand probably why he's going. He probably he. I wouldn't be surprised if after this A&M game, he went into the debrief, the end of season meetings, and he kind of looked around his defensive linebacker room or even his defensive room and kind of said to himself, "Wow, once all these seniors are gone, I know no one here. No one is here that I know." And so it's one of those things that I can see that's why he's leaving. But, you're losing Caldwell, you're losing Cole Hudson, DJ Campbell, Cole Brevard, Travis Shaw, Ethan Burke, Trey Moore, Marshall Ladwin, Taff, Jalen Gilbo, this is a lot. These were guys that you heard their names a ton, and these are just the guys who ran out of eligibility. You're not. Let's not even forget our special teams in Mason Shipley, Jack Bowmeister, and Lance Lewis. This is, we're gonna have a lot of key parts. We got to go get another kicker again. Shipley did great for us compared to Burke. We need to keep that going. We are one bad recruit away from going back to the missing almost every other field goal. And we saw special teams produced a lot of points for us. So we need to go get another kicker. We're probably going to need to go pick up. We probably signed that Bell kid, so we probably at least have a backup quarterback, but we're losing two. Trey Owens is leaving us. CJ Baxter, not surprised. He hit the portal too. Gibson, we knew that earlier in the season. Aaron Butler, wide receiver, a position room that we knew was a little bit limited. We're losing some depth there. Melvin Hill, Santana William, and then of course our kicker Will Stone. It's we're losing guys in places that you can't afford to lose them anymore. The depth is already low. This is a great chance that Texas got this ability to focus. You already saw a great success in National Sign A for high school. We got to make sure that this was for early decision when the end of the season happens because we're going to see them before the bowl game's over. The bowl game's over, and then the next day is boom, the transfer portal's open. We need to be hitting that hard. We need to be getting that. What better way is to win the bowl game and say, hey, guys, you want to come win? You want to end your season on a good note? Come to the University of Texas. So this game means a lot, and it also going to mean a lot for Michigan, but this would be a very good uh, diving board or springboard into the recruiting and the transfer portal this year.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. We're losing a lot of players, and luckily, most of the graduation guys. It's unfortunate. I mean, that's just football. It's just how it goes. But fortunately, the portal guys we're losing are, I would say, trimming the fat. It's guys that have been here and really haven't seen the field, and when they did see the field, it was not very good. There's some more names that we're going to see pop up. It sounds like maybe DeAndre Moore's a guy that goes and shops around for a big NIL deal because he could probably get, a good deal somewhere. He's a pretty good player, but I don't think he's like irreplaceable. I think he could go replace a guy like that in the G5 and spend a lot less, or go big time like I want to and go get a superstar wide receiver and a superstar running back because Baxter's in the portal, and Texas, running out of bodies there, which is probably a good thing. So our running back room was less than stellar this year. So Baxter's gone. Wisner's kind of in flux right now. Texas would like to keep him, is my understanding, but we kind of want him to become a auxiliary back for us, not the bell cow lead back, because really we've talked about it. He's just kind of limited in that department. He's a great player, but he just doesn't have the breakaway speed, the ability to break tackles. He's a not a plus elite athlete like Bijan, and those are gifted athletes. There's not many of those out there, but Texas is definitely shopping for an elite running back in the portal, or maybe two. Maybe a guy like Keelan Lacey from Ole Miss. He's from Texas. He's a Dallas kid. He's a really good player. Maybe the Hawkins kid at North Texas, freshman running back, put up huge numbers this year. Jaden Ball is a guy that everyone seems to want, and which leads me to Chad Scott, the running back coach, was fired as of like today, recording this, and one of the early names was that as a replacement potentially is the Florida running back coach. Which obviously, if we got him, we feel like we'd have a decent shot to get Jaden Baugh to come with him. And we know how good Jaden Baugh is, man. He tore us up. They made us look like children out there when he was running the ball. So this is exciting though. This is necessary for Texas because it always felt like this year we didn't have the guys, going up against Georgia and Ohio State and Florida. Even it felt like for the first time in a couple years we didn't have just the talent advantage across the board like we have had. There were areas where we're good. Linebackers were solid with Ant Hill and Arch was really good. But there was a lot of holes, man, especially at running back. So, and O line. So O line needs to be, we need to stack at least three or four bodies in there of proven players that can come in and start. Because we might lose all three of our interior guys if Connor Robertson doesn't come back for his redshirt senior year, which I hope he does. Better pony up some money for him because he was pretty solid, serviceable for us down the stretch. You could be losing your guards and center, and only return your two tackles. So that's something to watch as well. But I'm just I'm just curious how we approach the receiver room because if Moore walks, that'll open up one spot at least. But I don't want them to be passive at wide receiver. I really want to go get a superstar dude like we've done with Golden and A.D. Mitchell. Obviously, we've seen how well that's worked out for us. Isaiah Bond too. A&M did it with Conception and Craver. They don't have to be expensive. You can go find them in the G5. So I'm curious how that works, and also the young five-star receivers behind them that have kind of just been waiting their turn. Jamie French, Khalil Lockett, even Dalen McCutcheon, guys like that that haven't gotten much run. And you also bring in a Jermaine Bishop, five-star receiver. So there's only so many mouths you can feed in that room. So I'm curious how they approach it because I imagine Livingston's not going anywhere. I don't think Wingo's going anywhere. I don't think Mosey's going anywhere. So you got three guys right there, starters coming back, and we'll see, man. I think Arch needs some weapons like elite gifted receivers. So we'll see what we do there. But yeah, portal. We'll know more by the time y'all are watching this. I'm sure some new news will drop. So it's very fluid right now, which is good being out of the playoff because we can really just focus solely on that and then get into bowl prep probably starting next week with Michigan. But yeah, Kyle, I wanted to ask you this. I forgot to bring it up during the playoffs. There's two things. Texas Tech, what are your thoughts on them in the playoff? Do you think they're a legitimate contender? Because I have my doubts, but they do look very dominant against Big 12 competition. I want to know your thoughts on that. And also, Notre Dame opting out of the bowl because they were so upset that they missed the playoff. What are your thoughts on those?
I want to wrap up one last thing with the transfer portal, and then I'll answer your
Yeah.
two questions real quick, Matt. The last thing I want to wrap about this transfer portal is, you know what, Matt, you said it best with trying to go target that the Florida running back coach to bring in him as well. This is a great time. Thankful, I'm actually very glad, like you, that Texas is in the bowl season right now. We're focusing on the transfer portal because you're already seeing so many of these moving parts, and with so many coaching and job openings this year, from Franklin and Penn State leaving to the Kiffin from Ole Miss to LSU. I'm sorry, Bobby getting fired and everything else. What you see with all this and all this transition, even though Ole Miss is about to get their team cannibalized by LSU, there's still going to be some Ole Miss players left in the rain, unfortunately, from that just don't make the bus to LSU, and that's just Kiffin, unfortunately, not being able to bring up, do a whole team switch basically. So there's some chance we can go get some of that Kiffin, Lane, Ole Miss talent at the wide receiver room. Um, Florida, I think you can totally cannibalize their offensive line and defensive line. They've always given big bodies, and if we just need some big guys to provide competition and just size, Florida's a great place to start. LSU had a lot of talent, and that's about to walk out the door. And I bet you a lot of those guys don't want to deal with Kiffin. Yeah, I could, because it almost has a little bit of some pride in there, but at the same time, they know if they're bringing their dudes in, that type of position will be open for them as well, and they probably don't want to have that competition. So really, a lot of good talent in three SEC schools for Sark right now to go in and say, hey, come to the stability of Texas. I've been here for a long time. I'm still going to be here for a long time. Look at all the noise that happened this year. I'm leaving this week. I'm leaving that week. My wife's, having a baby with Xavier Worthy, all this other stuff, but I'm still here at the University of Texas. That is going to be a very big proponent of bringing these guys in, and not to mention the cannibalization of Penn State. That defense, number 3 in particular, that dude is a beast. Bring him in. That would be a great one. And a few people I know aren't going to like this. And I've told you, there's some Michigan offensive lineman we need to bring in. His name, he is a redheaded guy. I got to talk to him. God, I forgot his name. He was a great dude to talk to over Thanksgiving, but he's a center. He's going to be in the portal this year. He announced it earlier today that he's going to be gone. If you ask me, he's been backing up, but he's played on the national championship team. I've seen his work ethic in practice. He would be a great asset to go after as a center. So there's a lot of teams all over the place right now. And let's not just look at the SEC. The G5 has some diamonds in there. Yes, I'll give them that. But for what we're looking for and what I think we need, which is just true beef and speed. Let's stick to the Power Five, and there's going to be plenty of Power Five dudes who we never thought we could flip that would be really open to a conversation with us because of all the coaching transition. But now going to your point, Texas Tech. Don't leave them out of that conversation either. You don't know what Texas Tech is doing. As a true mercenary team, those guys, look at their eligibility. This might be enough to where if they have an early exit that we could cannibalize them too and take them over. But I will tell you this, I don't think Texas Tech is having an early season exit. I think they'll go play Oregon. I think that they'll make it past their first round, but Texas Tech will lose to Oregon. Dan Lanning is just that dang good of a team. I just really think that's what's going to happen. I don't like Joey McGuire. It's going to be a success in the Texas Tech program column. This is a winning season for them. This is a success. I hate saying it because I hate Tech, but it's a success for them. They made it to the playoffs. This only for them is a rolling stone. Everything from this point is cherry on top, is the icing, baby. They their one booster now has enough to go get his buddy and maybe his buddy's buddy. And this they can only go up from here. Do not be surprised if this is Texas Tech's MO going forward for a while. They just totally sign new guys. They may focus more. It might be a 70-30, 70 transfer portal, 30 high school guys now. It might be one of those situations. The Texas Tech this year is good. They're very good. The loss to Arizona State was in Tempe. Arizona State was good at the time. The Big 12, as we know, beats up on themselves, and there will be a Big 12 champion that has one loss that could win the national championship. Shit, that was us, and that's what we said about ourselves, and Oklahoma said about themselves for so many years when we were there. So I think Texas Tech's the real deal. I think they finally kind of picked it up that we left the conference for them and that they should take it over and not let the new blood do it. So good for them. I'm happy for them. We'll probably be seeing them now very consistently in the postseason going forward. But with great success does come great upsets. Notre Dame, you got upset. I'm sorry, it happens. You don't make the playoffs. But that does not mean you take your ball and go home. Look, a bowl game is a bowl game. It's not if here's what I'll say. If Notre Dame came together as a team where all the players and the coaching staff came together and they all in a democratic way voted with the majority of them saying we don't want to go and play a bowl game. Hands up, I accept it. It's a team's decision. The team did it. If this is Marcus Freeman saying and the AD saying, though, this is us making a point and we're going to punish everyone because you didn't let us into the playoffs, then that's some baby back bull crap. You go play your bowl game. Go play it. Don't take away that opportunity for your guys to go put film on. Don't take that game away from your seniors where this is their last game putting on that legendary gold helmet. Let them go play one more game for the Fighting Irish. You know, do not take this away from those juniors who are going to be going to the NFL in April, and they need that last quarter or 2 quarters to get them from a third round to maybe a second round, or from a second round to a first round draft pick, or from an unsigned free agent to an eighth round guy. Don't take that opportunity away from them. If this comes out that it was only the AD and Marcus Freeman's decision, then shame on them. Shame on them from taking food and money away from their players' mouths. But if this comes out that it was an entire team and coaching decision, then I'm going to hand to God. I'll let it happen. I'll let it slide, and it's okay. But that's my stance on Notre Dame. And for the other 6 dudes, that's my same stance on them. If the team votes for it, fine. But if it's the coach and the AD saying it and no one else was given an option, shame on you. Shame on you. If I was a parent, I would not let my kid apply to those schools or even accept an offer from those schools at this point. Ever. ever.
Yeah, it's a bad look. I feel like in the moment it probably felt good. Notre Dame's so bad. It's probably a very short-sighted decision. I feel like because they're mad, they're irate, they're distraught. They're missing the playoff. Their season's over. They think, which it is. And they're like, well, let's stick it to the networks and not give them any Notre Dame revenue, no Notre Dame game to watch in the postseason. That's good and all, but like I feel like after maybe I don't know a day or two of being down because we're in a similar boat. We got left out of the playoff too. We felt we had a national championship, not winning team, but a team that could go to the semis and make some noise. Um, after a day of holding out and outlawing the bowl game or whatever they're doing, I'm sure they're like, man, now what? It's over. No bowl game, no nothing, no more football. Like I feel like they're probably disappointed by now, and probably some of them probably regret it. I get if you're a first rounder and you need to opt out personally to save your body and to save potentially uh, $10 million. I get that. That makes sense. But like you said, Kyle, there's a bunch of players on that roster that have been itching for playing time, itching for film, itching to make their case for potentially hitting the portal and going to a lower school to get on the field somewhere. And they're all just basically just out of luck now. They're gonna have to just sit there and wait till next season or hop in the portal. It's just there's no closure at all. And I'm glad Texas and Michigan, or especially Texas, were just like, Sark was, pleading his case more than anyone. He was, just like this would be an outrage for the sport if we don't make it. And he was, beating that drum, which he should have been as the head coach of Texas. But as soon as, it became clear we're not going to make the playoff and they're going to, choose the teams that have the prettier loss records, despite their weaker schedules, Sark shifted. He's excited to be in the Citrus Bowl, excited for this opportunity, to be, we're probably the premier bowl game, not in the playoff now because Notre Dame's not going to participate. So we're the biggest game there is, especially when you got Michigan across, it's a helmet game. So I'm glad that Sark and Sharon Moore are kind of, playing this game up because it's kind of like it's on New Year's Eve, I want to say, and it's kind of like the game before the playoff quarterfinals start. It's kind of like the main event of the prelims, which I think is cool. Let Arch go out there and play, and let's see the young guys. So I'm very excited and thankful that we're going to play this bowl game. One more chance to look at our team to see our continued progression, see the young guys step up, see Arch play, and just really just to build that, like you said, that springboard into the offseason. Because the last time you played Michigan in a bowl game, it was the Rose Bowl. We won that game. Vince Young got on the mic and he said, "We'll be back." And that next year, we won the national championship. So I'm hoping we have that same type of approach this bowl season. Arch gets on the mic and says, "We'll be back." I know it's not going to be in the Citrus
No,
Bowl,
no,
but we'll be
no,
back in the playoff. And
no, no.
history repeats itself. Not the Citrus
No,
Bowl.
no more saying we're back. We've already said that. That phrase is outlawed. Unless it's Vince Young, we don't say that anymore. But no, you're right, Matt. That's a great point. That is what you said is spot on. And I even think, Sark. I don't know how legitimate this tweet was. I saw that Sark said, but Sark said this. It was, I'm excited for the Citrus Bowl, Texas versus Michigan, two-story programs. We potentially might see them in 2 years. We might not. I want to focus on the last part. Might not. He's still holding that. He is going to play the game with grace, but he's not going to do what Notre Dame is and say, we're going to affect it now, but we're going to affect you guys in the future. That's what I like to say about that. But Sark is doing it right. Marcus Freeman is not.
So as we talked about earlier, Chad Scott's fired from the running back coach. He was here for 1 year. Kind of dealt a poor hand, honestly, because he came in here late and he couldn't really bring in his guys necessarily. He kind of just inherited that room in a lot of ways, and but the running back room was lackluster. People love Trey Wisner, and he's a great player for us, but the consistency wasn't there, and the high end ability wasn't there either. But he's a rival killer, so he's a Longhorn legend, and I hope he comes back for another year. But with Chad Scott fired, you can go big game hunting at at running back coach because that's supposed to be kind of like your rainmaker recruiter at running back coach. Rashad Samples is out there at Oregon. He's a guy that is one of the best recruiters in the country. He's from Duncanville. Started at Texas as a college coach, as an analyst or something. So that'd be cool. Someone like him. Stan Drayton needs a job again, from what I hear. And that Florida the Florida running back coach is also being talked about potentially as a candidate. But basically, we don't expect this to be the last coach that parts ways with Texas this offseason. Dwayne Aquina, the guy that we've been talking about, it sounds like he's probably going to be gone too. It was a 1 year rental for him, which is probably good. We need some new. The secondary had a lot of struggles, and he's just kind of past his prime, which is fine. So keep an eye on that, and then Chris Jackson too. People are speculating that he might go, a wide receiver coach, which also I wouldn't hate because our receivers kind of had a very up and down year when we expected them to be a lot better. And then Kyle Flood is the one that people are really wondering about because, uh, I've read both ways about him. Like he's for sure coming back or he's probably going to be replaced. So I don't really know. I wouldn't hate if he came back. I think he's done enough at Texas to, earn the benefit of the doubt. But I will say this past year was not a good look. And if you can go get a surefire upgrade and a better recruiter because his recruiting is kind of tanked really since that Kelvin Banks, DJ Campbell class. He hasn't recruited well at offensive line, I don't think, outside of Brandon Baker. But that was more of an NIL play. So that's one to watch too. But basically, what I'm getting at is there's going to be some shuffling of this coaching tree under Sark, and this is good. This is healthy stuff. I don't think we're going to lose any of our. I don't think we're going to lose PK or anything like that, which is good. Jeff Banks. I know you're not a huge Banks guy anymore, but I like Banks. I hope we keep him around. I like to have that three-headed monster of Banks, Sark, and PK. Keep them together because they're kind of the ones, and you can throw Flood in there too. The ones that kind of built this program. They've been here the whole time, so I don't mind keeping that foundation there. But you got to supplement, in those other spots like where Akina's at and receiver coach and running back coach. So that'll be fun to watch. And keep in mind when you're getting a new coach in the portal era, they can bring their players with them a lot of the time. So if we do hire, a big time receiver coach from, I don't know, Oregon, keep that in mind. Jalen Lott's over there, Decorian Moore. So I'm not hinting at anything, but just keep in mind that it's a lot different now. Coaches can bring players with them, so it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, you said it. You hit the nail on the head here, though, Matt, with the running back coach. Going to go get a guy potentially from Florida to bring him in, but you said it best. The running back coach is really your guy who's going to spearhead your recruiting in your organization. And as you can tell, it's a shame that he's gone in a one and done year. But look across the board from high school recruiting. High school recruiting was the only thing that really did good because it's the University of Texas, and you own high school recruiting in Texas when that happens. But look, if he was the one who was helping oversee the transfer portal because of his late entry, that obviously didn't happen, and that lack of recruiting hit across all boards. So, you know, that's one of the things that we really need to start looking into. And a guy that I believe that would probably be a really good recruiter, I think would be, gosh, we probably need to go poach someone out of, who was that run? Who's the running back coach for Kentucky? Because that dude for Kentucky, that Isaiah guy, he is dang good. He finds gems. Like the dude might not, if we put him in a spot where he can finally start getting the 4 and 5 star talent consistently, he'll be the one who can help us find those gems and help us with player evaluation. I think he'd be a really good guy because that was really the only bright spot about that Kentucky offense was their running back. And unfortunately, he was used to total exhaustion, and he was a 4 year guy. So that's all around. I think he'd be a good target for us to go after on top of the Florida ones. You want to kind of go after these coaches who have been part of regimes who are kind of been cut up. Another good one, I don't know his position in particular, but would be the Penn State defensive DC. He was at Ohio State last year, who beat us in the Cotton Bowl. He left to go be James Franklin's DC and stuff like that. I think he's a secondaries coach. But look, James Franklin left. He's not retaining him at Virginia Tech. They're bringing the old head coach of Virginia Tech to be his DC. So I wouldn't be surprised if that guy is looking for another job now. He in Ohio State sure as heck ain't bringing him back. So let's bring him in, and he'd probably be a good secondaries coach for us, and give him Texas talent because that's what he primarily recruits is the Southern guys to be his DBs. I think that'd be a great way to help get that what we need to do after moving on from Makina. But I'm not. Hey. I've said my piece about Kyle Flood. I'm really not going to bring too much up into him. I'm not going to be a Kyle beating on a Kyle, but you know where I stand on him on that one. I think most of the people do, but yes, this is going to be a lot of time, and what better? And you know what? I'm glad that we're not in the bowl game. I'm glad we're not in the playoffs again because of how much coaching is now being turned over. This year was a really big year, and so with all these departing parts, not just players but coaches, the road is a lot longer to get prepared for 2026 if we're just going to keep this a reloading situation rather than a rebuild. You know.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally. Kyle, so let's shift this. Let's shift this. So
Mm.
bowl prep. Bowl prep. What are your thoughts on Texas going into the Michigan bowl game? Like just overall outlook.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. This is why I love bowl season. You know, everyone, and this kind of also kind of wraps up to the Notre Dame situation. The bowl season is so pinnacle to college football because it's like I said when Marcus Freeman's taken away from his players, a chance and an opportunity to show their skills one last time and get that last opportunity for film. Texas, you've really not for the past 2 years, you haven't had a chance to really see your potential transfer portal targets or see guys who are going to leave at the end of bowl season. You've always knew who was going to be there, early after the regular season. You kind of know who's going to declare for the portal and all that stuff. You find all these guys who have the intent, but you're going to really see now at the end of the bowl season who actually is also going to hit the portal at the very end. And Texas really has never had the chance to look at that or pay attention to that spectrum because we're playing in the semifinal game, which is way after any bowl game. So we're not really spending time evaluating transfer portal talent. So that's a great time for us now to have bowl season because in the new age of college football that depends so much now on how the transfer portal is such a critical asset into making a depth chart, not just being a complementary acquisition system. Like I've said this whole year, this is the time to show off and really sit down and evaluate some transfer portal talent because you can already kind of know that no one in the playoffs and the CFP, any of the CFP teams, you really know those players who are going to hit the portal from there are not that good or they're their backups and their third strings. They're probably decent, but they're not game experienced guys. While the guys hitting the transfer portal from the bowl season and the bowl games, they've seen action. These are guys who went to the school who maybe fell for the Tennessee Volunteer swindle of being a national championship contender and beating Vanderbilt and all that crap. And look at Tennessee now, they're dog water and hype. So this is a good time to see those types of teams. I would love to see guys from Vandy because you never know how much of a linchpin is Diego Pavia for that locker room. Let's see what happens to this Tennessee Volunteer team now since that Joe dude is a one and done and now this team is looking like it's potentially going to recession. First time losing to Vanderbilt in 15 years. Heupel's luster is now gone. Let's look at them. That might be a good team to go, raid the coffers of. How much did Missouri do? Is Dylan Raiola staying a Nebraska Cornhusker, or does Texas Tech have their quarterback next year? And we have Patrick Mahomes 2.0. That now more than ever is more likely because guess what? Nebraska fired Raiola's uncle. The only reason he was there in the first place. So this is where the bowl time happens because this is your coach. If you're Sarkisian and you've talked all about having that disadvantage of not getting to evaluate transfer portal talent, you should be chomping at the bits this year because it's a bowl game. It's against Michigan. You said it, a helmet to helmet game. We are probably the marquee game of the bowl season. Okay? Because everyone else who would have been decent, like Notre Dame, opted out. So we're the only ones who stayed in and continued this. So this is a good time to show stability, to have morale, but at the same time, we also get to be our tryout. This is our tryout tape to everyone else out there in the country. Wow, look at Texas next year. Look at all the guys who opted out or were going to transfer or are going to graduate and they're not playing. Look at Texas and the pieces they have, and they want me to come in as a transfer and play immediately. Oh, yeah. I want to go to Texas because they already look good, and if I'm their missing piece, we're winning a national championship. You're building that ego in their heads, guys. Marcus Freeman, Kansas State, Iowa State, whatever. All you six schools that are just losers and opted out. If any of these coaches say it's for the betterment of our players, can go screw themselves. That's why you can opt out as a player. Don't say you're taking away this opportunity in this bowl game because it's better for your players. It's not. That's for you. That's for your chance to go. You're now taking away a chance for them to go get another spot, but it's also taking away a chance from you for showing potential transfers. Hey, this is what my team's about. This is what we need is you. And if you come here, we'll win a national championship. You're taking that away from yourself as well. The bowl games are important, and that's why teams prepare for them the way they do. You're about to see Texas go through a mini fall camp. Michigan goes through a mini fall camp. Miami is going to go, actually, not Miami, but any of these school, Tennessee, LSU, any of these teams in a bowl game are about to go through a mini fall camp because it's time to reevaluate and prepare for next season. All right. You probably started today, if not yesterday, and we're gonna be probably practicing for 2 hard weeks, get a week off for Christmas, or maybe 3 days off for Christmas, and you're reporting to the bowl site, which is the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Texas is gonna be playing a lot of guys, and you're gonna be seeing a lot of people that have not gotten the reps in the season. They're going to be getting a lot of practice reps now because they're going to be playing in the bowl game, and this is now Texas's chance to reevaluate the roster for next year because we never had a chance to reevaluate. We've always had to be win, win, win. Oh, we lost. Season's over. There's no evaluating. This is our chance for early evaluation and early talent acquisition, as well as which areas are we going to be lacking next year because our guys have opted out. So this is going to be a good chance. So this is what this bowl season is all about. This is why it's so important, and this is why already now you're seeing the parts of Texas moving and getting ready for this thing and and preparing for it so diligently because this is not just win a trophy and get Cheez-Its thrown on you. This is a chance to start preparing for next year.
Yeah, no, I think I'm very excited to see some of the. You said a lot of players are going to play, and that's true. I think some of the young guys that stand out to me. I'm thinking Khalid Lockett, Jamie French. I want to see them get some targets, get some run. Of course, James Simon with Baxter officially gone now. I think he's going to be our backup running back. I don't know what's going to happen with Christian Clark. Seems like he might be a portal candidate too. But yeah, I want to see these guys, these young guys. Myron Charles. Shawarma at the defensive tackle, more Justice Terry, who's come on late as a true freshman. He's going to be a monster for us. Jonah Williams, even guys like Warren Robertson. He's a guy that has been up and down this year, but he flashes. He does the bonehead penalties on special teams, but he's an athlete, and he was sticky against A&M. He's a guy that I haven't written off, and clearly the staff likes him a lot. So I want to see him out there. We just have a lot of young players that are going to get a lot of run. Ty Anthony Smith, I want to see him keep growing. Lance Jackson, who's going to be our starting edge next year with Ethan Burke going off to the league. He's a guy, 5-star guy that's flash. So this it's very exciting to see these young guys, the next generation, see them show out in this bowl game. I hope Michigan opens it up and goes downfield and tests us a little bit so we can get those other guys some reps. But uh, yeah, I'm curious to see how he looks against Michigan. I think has a really good defense and a good pass rush. But you would know more than me. on that. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm so glad that we're in this bowl game, and kind of we're the tone setter for the quarterfinals, and really this is like the tone setter for the 2026 season.
Set the tone. Every note, every good athlete knows you got to set the tone, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to set the stage for next year. Now, this is a double-edged sword for us because I would take the Texas hat off, but I'm going to stay on this because I got to root for my team. But since I've known Michigan so well, I'm going to give us a little insight here, people. Not enough to where it's going to be an unfair advantage, but enough to really get the spiciness of this game. To when you guys watch it, I'm going to personally be there. I'm
Oh
going
yeah,
to be boots on the ground. But I'm also going to have my lightsaber with me because I'm going to Orlando. It's Star Wars World. It's awesome. It's
oh yeah.
great. I'm building a lightsaber, guys. It's going to be great.
What
Okay.
color? What color,
Bro, red. Duh. I'm a
dude?
Sith. I'm a Sith. I'm a Sith. Chill out.
Okay,
I would go purple, but I'm not as cool as Mace Windu and Samuel L. Jackson. And I can't do blue because I don't like blue. And green is weird. If you're
okay.
green, you're weird. So red. And plus, everyone else is stupid. No one uses the color red. They use like crimson or maroon or some scarlet. So no one says it's red. See? Okay? Even Red Raider call it, Raider Rash, so it's different. It's not even red. But hey, this will be a good game for everyone because Michigan as well as Texas is trying to set the tone. Michigan and Texas are very equal in the fact that 2026 is a year that they have circled on the calendar as this will be the year that they are going to go win a national championship and compete. They had a new true freshman in Bryce Underwood, and his numbers at throwing touchdowns might not look impressive, but the completion percentage, the yardage with the amount of attempts is redonkulous. The ratio on passes is crazy. He's not throwing it a lot, but it's accurate enough to be caught, and it's for chunk plays. Okay, this is gonna be a good. This shows that their offense can move the ball, and what they've attributed to their three losses, which were Oklahoma, USC, and Ohio State. They caught Oklahoma when Oklahoma was getting heated up with Mateer in there early, but even then, we can all agree that when we watched that game, it looks like Michigan was playing with a hand tied behind its back. It didn't have the full playbook because they're still learning the playbook. USC, they ran into that whole East Coast West Coast time transition and everything, and that's a tough L. You're allowed one loss in conference. I'll give you that. We all are. But then the Ohio State loss, that's a young team that just hadn't that's a young team that was playing together and doing the best they can with the situation that was given to them. And Ohio State was a buzzsaw that day. They were not going to lose that game. That was the you can play that game 9 times out of 10 and they probably were going to win 9 times out of 10 because they weren't going to lose for 5 years in a row. So I'll give Ohio State their flowers. They played possessed in that game. But this Michigan team, every one of those losses, they said it's because they're a young team. It's because they're young. They're getting the pieces. They got their guys, and they're young. They just need to mature like a fine wine. They think it might take 1 year. I honestly kind of think that they're right. They only need 1 year. They really have a lot of veteran talent and a lot of veteran presence. This locker room of theirs is something do not see very often. It rivals the 2005 national championship Longhorns in their locker room culture. They are so together. They hang out all the time together. They're with each other 24/7. It is an open door policy. They're extremely tight. What a great group of kids. And I got to talk to many of them this Thanksgiving, and they are just the nicest, smartest, most passionate football players I've met. And I'll tell you this now, Matt. I've watched enough Michigan practices to tell you they're on a whole nother level. That is northern football practices in the cold. My goodness, Matt. Get your pee hot. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good way to watch football prep. So that's the whole thing. That team and that program is a true trial by fire. In the fires of war, they will be forged type of team. They've only gotten one season under their belt. They were the youngest team in the Big Ten. That number only gets older as time goes on. So I think 2026 that they have a chance to run this thing. Like I said, this is going to be a preview of a potential playoff game next year. Whether it's going to be a quarterfinal matchup or a semifinal matchup. Heck, it'd be great if it's the national championship next year. This is a preview for a postseason game next year. But it's going to come down to this. The one thing with two teams that have nothing to lose, but who actually have everything to lose and nothing to gain, is who's going to play the most discipline. Michigan does not have a penalty issue. Texas has a penalties issue. Everything else is so similar. Offensive line struggled early. They matured and got better. Michigan and Texas, same thing. Receiver core was early, had problems with drops. That was Texas. That was Michigan. Andrew Marsh catches everything now. Macaulay Culkin is a extremely, extremely violent and physical receiver who goes up and gets the ball. Reminds me of little Jordan Colin Johnson back in the day. They got the Twin Towers out there. They are fighting to get Justin Haynes back. But guess what? Who they have right now? They got Jordan Marsh or Jordan Marshall, and that guy's a tank. And you're giving him 3 weeks to rest and get his and get everything ready to go. I know he's been banged up a little because he's the bell cow, and that's how it does on running backs. But he's about to be fully healthy, and not to much. Oh gosh, I just talked to this kid. I love him. He's a great guy. He's funny. He was helping him. Cuzdall, walk on. Last year, walk on scholarship. This year, thrusted in by arguments. He is Isaiah Pacheco. Runs with aggression, downhill, but when he gets in the open lane, he turns that power into speed. Great test for our these two guys will be a great test for our young linebackers. LaFau, this will be his chance to really build his stock this game and become the leader if he can stop these two and help manage our front seven to get these guys, only 4 yards or 3 yards a carry. Our secondary will be tested by physicality, not by scheme. You're going to see the scheme a mile away. It's just how Michigan runs, throws the passes. We've seen it. It's not very sexy, but this will see how physical we are. Can we fight for the ball when it's in the air? Offensively, this is going to be Arch's, outside of Ohio State, his biggest NFL audition, because you're going against one of the best NFL defensive coaches in the league ever, in the league of NFL, in Wink Martindale. Max is on the defensive side. I hear about this guy. I got to talk to him and Biff Poggi during Thanksgiving. What a guy! What a way to talk ball. That is great. That was a fun time with him. But his scheme is so simple, yet so hard to defend. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not going to do that to him. But it just tells you the genius of it. This will confuse Arch. Arch is going to hesitate and hold the ball more. So this is a real chance for him to do pillar number one. Step up in the pocket. Can he run again? Is what he did against A&M just against A&M? Or is this a consistent thing? Can we start getting the Vincent Colt senior year running and throwing the ball for touchdowns? We need more of that. And not just from the 5 and 10 yard line like Sam Ehlinger. We need it from distance like what he did against A&M. So this is going to be a real good Arch Manning game for him. Everyone else on the offense, it would be nice, but this is going to be the Arch show. Can he show us the maturity of facing an NFL guy at the very beginning of the season and now facing an NFL DC again at the end of the season? How do you compare between the two? And how much have you matured over this season? This will be the time to do it. It's going to be a good game. Both defenses and offenses really compare and size up with each other equally, and they have strengths where our weaknesses are, but we have strengths where their weaknesses are. It's going to be a great game. I would say bet the over. Bet the over. This will be an over game. 100%.
All right, there you have it, Mr. Michigan, Texas. Kyle's got the intel on Michigan. I think he's doing a little sunshine pumping though. I think Texas got this. It's going to be scary, but that's why bowl games are fun. It's kind of house money. Like if we lose, it sucks, but like who cares? But yeah, it's gonna be an awesome game, man. I can't wait. Um, Boots on the ground. I won't be there, but you gotta let us know, Kyle, how it is out there. Don't drink too many beers.
I think you mean hut teas margaritas, because again, Star Wars world.
True, true.
There you go.
All right, y'all. Well, all right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here, and we'll get back on here soon and give you more updates on how everything's looking portal wise and everything as things progress. We'll come back on here and do a more formative game preview, prediction, breakdown here in the future as well, and we'll give our thoughts on the playoffs as they unfold. But thank y'all for watching. We just wanted to come on here and really just give our last vent out on the CFP and our last thoughts on Texas's kind of outlook going forward. So, yeah, thank y'all for being here. If you watched to the end, please comment that you did, and we'll shout you out in the next video. So, thank y'all again, man. This is fun. We've been on a heater recently, Texas Platinum, putting out more and more videos. We're finally getting our views up a little bit. We're back in the hundreds, which is like, hey, progress is progress. You have to walk before you run. So, I'll take it. But, yeah, man, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Hook 'em.
Welcome.